Hello guys and welcome to another episode of The Letter. We're on the Rebecca POV. Haven't made any choices yet, but we're easing into her character. She seems very smart. And it's kind of different because she's like narrating from the future. But it's a good time. Learn more about Rebecca. How jealous she is that Ashton and Isabella might be a thing. I'm sorry. Also, if you notice anything different about the mic, it's because I've kind of given up on the noise gate setting, even though I kind of like it for removing clips and stuff. The cutting out of my dialogue is a little rough. I mean, I guess if you find that, if you prefer one to the other, you can comment, even though it'll be like pretty far ahead before I change it. But yeah, just letting you know if you're wondering why you hear clips and stuff. I think it's better, but I'm not sure. But yeah, another important part of piece of information we learned was that Kylie Suraz is the niece of Luke and Hana, which is something we didn't pick up when we first met her. So that's very interesting. But yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the first day after watching the movie, Zach's film. And we'll see what happens. See if Rebecca gets any spooks. She had like a little spook, but she didn't directly see Tayoko yet. But Tayoko has caught a whiff of her stench, smell, scent is what I'm saying. You don't smell Rebecca. So we'll see. Anyways, let's get into this right now. Dusk had already given way to the night when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I am hoping. Neither does muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy. Too loud. Too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd, nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, see ya.
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming.
Don't pretend you were watching, Isabella. Rebecca was the only one really focusing. She knows.
But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this. And everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Yeah, don't front, Isabella. I know because I was in your POV earlier.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Don't bring up Ashton, it triggers her.
Well, why do we still need to talk about it then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it.
To be fair, Rebecca is being a little bitchy.
Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Rebecca is being a little... She's annoyed, you know. Maybe rightfully so, but... Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits. Though right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than the background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
Calm down, Becca. I agree.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home.
She's gonna, I think Rebecca's gonna kind of regret this the next morning, to be honest. But we'll see. Maybe that's not her personality.
It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I just noticed on the freaking movie thing, what kind of movie premieres at 2:48 p.m.? What a weird time, dude.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Hey, the Philippines, I mean, I've never been there, but its traffic has to be worse than the UK. You would think, or not, wherever we are, somewhere in that area. I think we're actually in Ireland, but I could be wrong. No, we're in the UK. Anyways, just Google Filipino traffic, bro. Freaking motorcyclists weaving cars and shit. It's probably crazy.
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out?
Becca, come on.
I
You're
just want to go home, Isabella.
you're actually being a bitch.
If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that
Yep.
I've been in this prickly mood since earlier.
It's a nice way to put it, Isabella.
Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
See, now Isabella's the one taking care of you, Rebecca. How does it feel? Probably not great. A long pause follows and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I am in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, they're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth, those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter and more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It was a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk. It's something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene.
Also, it's actually a really nice scene because Rebecca's kind of getting owned, but doesn't that look like the stuffed Marianne in the picture? To me, it kind of looks like it.
I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried too long. What do you think? I don't really want to lie to her, so let's just give it to her straight.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of
That's-
people around, there were weird things happening.
That was not the right choice. I'm sorry. Dude, I've been fucking up the choices for a bit.
I don't know if there was
I
anyone
guess
else
I
who
shouldn't
noticed.
have been so harsh with
I
her.
heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic, I...
Will you give the sorting letter a rest already?
The effect is immediate. Abruptly, Isabella clamps her mouth shut. Hurt flickers across her face as she looks away, and her shoulders droop, all before the thought of holding back on my tone or how she'll take every word crosses my mind. Yeah, my bad. I should have thought better. I thought being truthful is always better, but obviously Isabella's personality. I should have took that in mind. God damn it. When the realization does hit her, after a twinge of guilt washes over me at once. But with all that's already been said and done, what am I supposed to tell her then? That I'm someone who can be easily unsettled by my own assumptions? That this stupid salt has been brought upon by some equally stupid jealousy? That the simple glimpse of her and my childhood friend together infuriates a part of me? Or that I wish I've been in her place during those times instead? True or not, I owe her neither of those, and if anything, she's the last person I want to know about it.
Look here, I'm not in the mood for this kind of talk tonight. My head is aching and I'm tired. I don't want to hear about the dumb letter, or the mansion, or whatever it was you saw in the bloody attic.
Ah, my tree is so messed up.
Get in the car and
We
we're
were so
going
good in
home.
the beginning, too.
Sorry. I won't mention it again.
If you're so worried about it, why don't you just throw the blasted thing away?
You make it sound so easy.
Because it is. Here, hand it over, and I'll do it for you. Might as well shred it up while we're at it.
I hold a hand out to her, though the gestures without any expectations. She's nothing if not stubborn, and it isn't surprising when she turns down the offer with a swat of her hand.
Becca, just leave it alone, okay? I get it. You don't want anything to do with it.
Good. I hope that settles it.
Yeah, just forget I mentioned anything. I'll figure it out myself.
Does this, like, change this? I think it does, but I don't know. God damn it. That makes me stop again. This time I turn to look at her, searching her face for an explanation. But all she offers me is a sidelong glance and another one of those pained looks, before climbing on the passenger seat and closing the door behind her. Somehow, even with the steady din of the traffic around us, the sound of that feels heavier, weighted with everything we refuse to utter tonight. This is what I want, isn't it? It certainly doesn't feel like it. I'm sorry! Stop rubbing it in my face! I know I'm bad. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm, so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, the silent, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet, it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity, with every little sound, every single moment more palpable. And it comes with the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand, while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. hiccuping. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
I hate the glitched voice. You know what that's trying to turn into.
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
This isn't where Rose dies, because she's alive the next day.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
Uh-oh. Oh wait, no, that's just Kyoko saying help me. My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines of my mouth forms into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Come again?
What?
Is everything alright over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some, other...
Oh no. I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of the exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps had I paid a closer attention to it, that I had not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier. That it never came from my phone. Oh no. But from somewhere right behind me? What do you mean? It sounds like it's coming from the phone. Hi, Kyoko. That's a nice thumbnail. Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it's the gleam in its eye that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them, more than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Don't look at me like that. You're making me not want to help you. Which it might just be a meme, because those kids faked the letter. Even as sharp, harsh noises pierce the air, the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. Dead. Quick time event. Steer the car. It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move, or my feet didn't hit the brakes, and it's that second I might... Sorry, I was just admiring the half moon that's freaking orangey yellow. That's kind of sick. Sorry, random. Isabella and I might have. No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought that I refuse to venture into. Now when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of my strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. She gone. All gone. I had spet stains and little Italian marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And through courage is hard thing to gather at this point. And though courage, my bad. I take what little of it remains in me and turn it towards the bat seat. Even then, there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. This stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone. Yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds an erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me. And little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Rebecca? Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with the heat prickling the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca.
Angry Isabella is so cursed.
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere.
You tell it, Isabella.
All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
True.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she lets loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has been always meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she'd tell herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Pretty sure she just needs, I don't know. I feel like Rebecca's playing this relationship too hard, man. Like, I think Ashton likes Isabella more than Isabella likes Ashton. I mean, I do think there might be a little something there for Isabella too, but I think Rebecca's like imagining it way too hard. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spent the rest of the trip back to Salemwell in silence. Check the new journal. Here we go. After watching Blue Fonse, Isabella tried to make a small talk with Rebecca, but the latter was in a prickly mood and was not interested. On their way home, Rebecca glimpsed something suspicious sitting in the back of her car and almost died. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a fluid-addled mind, and smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned, if only for a brief moment. Dream time? Not Tuesday. Dude, that's a 4-day banger. That's a fire jump. Yeah. Look at that. Take a little hydration. And we're good to go, maybe? Yeah. It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. I guess we did see, or maybe we didn't see Tylee. Was that supposed to be on Monday? I thought it was. Even though it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it appears. Excuse me. I've assumed that she'll take a day off or two because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Hey, you feel creeped out about Rose getting killed with the shit on the letter on the walls? Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. The sound of the morning news drifts from our unit when I walk past it on my way to the mailbox. Chances are she's not even there though, right? Yeah, she's at freaking Zach's house. It's a bait. Chances are, around this hour, she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Bro, I know it, dude. When I was a kid, wake up at 6 a.m. sharp. Now it's more like wake up at 8 a.m. Or if I wake up earlier, I would sleep in until 8 or 9. So it's still kind of early, but not as bad. Anyways, like talk work, it's always at 4 a.m. Now that's metal. To be fair, I do sleep at like 2 to 3 a.m. usually. Maybe 1 a.m. if it's a good day. Either to help with the chores or prepare for her little sibling for work. It surprises me the first time she doesn't look like someone who could. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about the bills or food for the next day or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if it gained mom and dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons, and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. I mean, that's cool, bro. I wish I could get a wax-sealed letter. I can already imagine Isabella's wrinkling her nose when she sees this, then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself, as if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time, it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no looks of surprise crosses my face. Once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Mr. Alistar and Miss Alyssa Dales. Interesting, she doesn't have her father's last name. Maybe they divorced. I'm guessing they did. Excuse me. Throat's a little stuffed up. Their years in the academia naturally brought with it various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a much personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers. A little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did, and I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's a small thing that's letting them know they got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mom, her voice is warm as I remember.
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
It's a nice voice.
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully, she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and asks me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hana?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are lots of Hanas in the world, so who knows?
Hana.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly, say the words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you, too. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's Mom and Daz are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. So I'm guessing they're not divorced if they're like with each other. Like, I don't know. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hana. Hana Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. It's not even on purpose. I thought when she figures out it's the person who owns the Ermidrid mansion, she would go, but it's actually just an accident. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mom's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right.
Schedule?
The invites for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
Oh, she brings Ashton, I think. That's why he was there, I'm guessing.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum! Sure no from him. He hates attending parties.
Look at blushing Rebecca.
But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
I think she would say no to this party.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from the time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. Ooh. To some extent. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Well, they do become friendly because I take Rebecca's advice to strengthen, try to save the marriage.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Dar to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago, when life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. And with a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. Even for a wee bit, it's never a good example to set. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The rest of my day waits. Oh. What's happening? 15 minutes later, I'm heading back out just for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything, there's never a need to. That's the beauty of this apartment complex. It's quiet and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitudes in the morning, no need to wear a smile on your face, lest other people are noisy enough to ask. Today, however, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. It's a bait. My brisk pace slows to a stop and a frown gradually forms in my face.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I've left earlier than she did, like last Friday before their open house. But those days are few and far between. It only happens in the direct circumstances, though the last part of that might be a bit of an exaggeration. However, with what happened in the last few days, maybe today is one. The death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off, and for someone like Isabella's the kind who gets attached to people easily. With Zachary, Ashton, and I, that has been the case. I can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially when the woman was someone she owed a lot, despite their training being brief. I've given her the space last night in deference, but perhaps today might be the proper time to check on her.
Oh, whatever. I've still got time anyway.
With light steps, I move closer to her door, hand already poised to knock. Still, I don't do it until I hear her answer me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. After a second, I finally knock, lightly so I don't disturb her, in case she's sleeping and has merely left the telly running last night. Never mind how she never lets that happen ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today? Belle?
Still nothing.
I'm about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Then I'm fishing out the copy of her key in my bag, unlocking the door. Nice key. What's that red key? She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I've simply stopped trying to hand it back to her.
Isabella? I'm coming in, all right?
Uh-oh. Quit time event? I'm changing. I'm changing my setup real quick. Bad vibes. Because obviously this is a bait. Without waiting for her answer, I push the door open and step inside. Her unit's still a mess. Instant noodle cups on the table and a pile of clothes on one side. Papers strewn about everywhere, an unkempt bed, among other things. This much is a given, will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with the place in this state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, far earlier than usual. But she never, ever leaves without making sure she's unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. It doesn't help that her bathroom appears unused this morning. Another habit, it can only mean she hasn't been here since last night? Perhaps even since the morning after Miss Cooper's death? Either idea doesn't sit well with me, with what the news we've been hearing lately. Maybe this wasn't a bait. I kind of forgot. She just hasn't been home and left her TV on. Though it's weird. I don't remember the TV being on, so maybe it is a bait.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims.
Uh-oh.
Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death.
Wonder why.
Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Gathering my wits, I immediately called to her mobile. But before that, Rebecca Gales receives a housewarming invitation addressed to her parents that morning. After informing them about it, she checked Isabella's apartment and was shocked to find that she hadn't come home last night. It rings for a good minute, the sound a comfort in itself, but when another minute rolls by without her answering. While I'm not a woman prone to panicking, sudden bounce of temper, maybe, but never panic, despite how I may sound when speaking. And when it ultimately goes straight to her voicemail, a sigh is the only thing I could let out. The pause doesn't last long, though. In the next moment, my fingers are already moving across the screen in search of the two people who might be able to help. It's Ashton's number I find first and dial. Call it a habit, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable when the situation calls for it, despite how much they give each other grief. That already says a lot about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour he's probably still sleeping. If he has a freelance work, it's very unlikely he's just gotten himself to bed. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. The wait doesn't take long. Soon a click, then Ashton's voice echoes through the receiver, a rough, still heavy with sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Becca? Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one.
Good one.
Yep. Me and Ash have the same taste.
Did you call us early just to make that joke?
That would be a great meme. Just calling someone you know early, make that joke, and then just hang up.
I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that. Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Did I say that?
Lol.
Shit.
Ashton, it's private information.
Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Forget we had this conversation.
So, you have no idea.
About what? About what? I also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
No, will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone.
Lol, she's just chilling at Zachary's.
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting a hard surface and a string of rather colorful curses from him. That sounded so lame. The moment might have been one of the many things I'll keep to myself and remember fondly in the next few days if things aren't the way they are. When he picks up again, there's no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night.
Oh my god. I mean, it's right for Rebecca to worry, but it's funny knowing what happened.
Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that at...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
Maybe that's also why Ash gets angry at Isabella for still making contact with the rights, though I think this is after that, so.
I'm not!
You are. Breathe.
Breathe.
One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about. Did you try calling her?
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Nope.
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
All right, I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
He ends the call before I can utter a single word of protest. But for the first time since entering this room, tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing has eased. The bed creaks as I sink down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares, the same uninteresting news. And I'm surrounded by clutter. All the same, it feels strangely calm to be here without worry nagging at me. I have to apologize to Zachary later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now relying on the latter, for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't ever doubt in him, much like his promises. And, true to his words, he calls back only a few minutes after the last one has ended.
She's with Zach.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
Sorry, that's the night she got assaulted by Kyoko in the office, alright?
What are you, her mother?
It's one thing to hear that from Isabella, but from
I
Ashton?
don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time. Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know?
Says the person who keeps calling her scaredy cat.
That's
True?
not related at all.
Also kinda true?
Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself out. You go ahead to work.
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at? Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students? Because if anyone's going to ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Detective skills?
Ash? What really happened? Is Isabella fine?
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't
It's
weird
Z-Man.
about it, but
It sounds like a lie if I've ever heard one. The sort where he omits things so people won't fret. And I'm not sure whether I should be happy he cares about that. He cares that much to do it. There shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows that I'm capable of at least hearing the truth without it gnawing at me. For the rest of the day, he knows me better than that. Well, he got pretty pissed once we brought up curses before, so... Just saying. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this. But despite and after all the trouble we went through, and with how things are moving at the moment, only one thought occurs to me. What should I say? I can handle it, or sorry for the trouble. I can handle it. God damn it! I'm so bad. I'm so bad. Why does he have to go in such lengths for a person he only met 5 years ago? I don't mean to sound... Oh, fuck off. I wish I could ask him that. I wish I could simply say to his face and finally get a straight answer from him instead of doing whatever this is we're doing. Damn, I'm ruining Rebecca's relationships. I'm so bad. What happened to me? Instead of beating around the bush, has the years changed us this much? Has adulthood changed us this much?
You've done enough, Ash. Let me take it from here.
Ashton is quiet for a little while, but I can almost see the frown in him, hear the gears turning in his head.
Don't you have a class to teach today? Tuesdays are your busiest this school year, aren't they?
Yeah, but someone has to check on her. And I don't want to impose on you any further. I've already disturbed your sleep.
You're not imposing. Besides, I'm doing you a favor. I know you, Becca. You hate being late or missing a day of work for a very small thing. Leave this to me.
You said you're waiting for a call from the chief.
I'm dropping by the precinct anyway. There's some trouble I have to fix with those guys. It won't be completely out of the way.
Ashton,
I trail off, at a loss for words in the end. From the start, it's a losing battle. We may have been together for a long time, known each other far better than other people, but that doesn't mean we often see things eye to eye. Time and time again, it's a matter of agreeing to disagree. This is oft how the status quo is kept. Whenever it comes to this, I can only accept it begrudgingly.
okay, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I should have saw it coming.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards, I promise. I'll call you later. You have a good day. Bye.
I admit it, the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be blunt like that, so many unknown variables, so many words left unsaid. I wish he'd simply lay them out all in the open, because like this I'm more inclined to think there's an exaggeration on the other's part. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get answers from her later. For now, my concerns are best left here. Alright, beautiful. I think we'll stop here. Thank you for watching me tank relationships. But it is what it is. Iron mode, man, baby. Maybe next episode will be better. But we got a little scare here and there. We got some updates, and it's fun. It's fun to see. So hopefully you're enjoying this Rebecca POV, and next time we'll continue and see what's going on. But for now, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Bye.